Next, we'll hear from Kelly Ryback, who's here in person with us. He is opposed to item 8 of the report of the Standing Policy Committee on Infrastructure Renewal and Public Works. It's the report dated October 12th, 2021, and it's regarding active transportation criteria in the road renewal budget. Also, item 3 and 4 of the report of the Standing Policy Committee on Infrastructure Renewal and Public Works, dated October 6, 2022, regarding the extending the Sunday holiday bike route and also the warranted projects within the Traffic Engineering Improvement Program. Welcome.
Great. Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's been a dynamic week. I was going to speak on the 311 report and on the fuel usage. There's idling that occurs hours every day, but there are pressing matters and time is limited. You can read my submissions and my presentations on those on this month's SBC on Finance and EPC meetings. I will speak on the opposed items and also collectively and on budgets with my rationale and my call to action. While I oppose aspects of the bike routes and the extended open street project, I'll speak specifically to Linwood Street. It's an excellent example. It's an excellent candidate that residents want it. The street is unsafe. Look at my RPW presentation from April 6th. It's even worse than those pictures. It's crazy to even ride a bike down that street. It needs to be fixed. The residents have told me they get water main breaks every year. There's an issue on that. I actually went door to door and spoke to more residents on Linwood than who responded to your survey about this topic. They want permanent fixes, not just Band-Aid solutions that pop year after year after year. Regarding most open streets, motorists and pedestrians are not complying. Your city data shows that. People are acting ugly and entitled and there's no enforcement. I've heard from Scotia Street residents. You heard from Wellington Crescent residents last year. This month, I've spoken with many business owners on Academy. They are angry about what takes place when you shut down Wellington. They're angry today because of the traffic that's on it today. They could use a couple of half-signal pedestrian crossings on Academy. It's too busy now. Delivery drivers, service reps, and salespeople are getting harassed when they're in compliance on Wellington. Wellington route is 5 kilometers of a non-stop roadway. It is likely the greenest road in the city to travel. They'll get you the best fuel economy in your vehicles. Why are you shutting it down to force traffic onto Academy, which has 6 traffic intersections and a stop sign? You're going to waste thousands of liters of burnt fuel, spent carbon emissions by forcing vehicles off Wellington onto Academy. There are ways to share the road safely that you're not even addressing. There is a center median strip that should be better utilized and better repaired and constructed. In general, Madam Speaker, the roads were brutal before this past weekend, and it's just gotten worse. The flooding was outrageous. But by doing density increases before sewer upgrades, flooding is only going to get worse. Road conditions are impacting emergency services, safety of the personnel, and their patients. We've heard the roads are getting filled and then they'll get repaired, and there's budget for it. I am so skeptical of this. Citizens are fed up with the annual pothole dilemma. Normally calm, cool, and collected people are now floating the idea of class action lawsuits. They're concerned about their insurance rates. Vehicle damage doesn't comply with the climate action plan. Potholes in my neighborhood now have to be filled for the 3rd time since March 26th. They have been filled more than 10 times in recent years. When are we going to get our permanent fix? What's the cost of repeatedly fixing potholes over the years? Reported 33,000 potholes filled before this week. It's probably 20,000 with 13,000 done twice. Those potholes in my neighborhood, they've been done with hot, they've been done with cold, they've been done with a snorkel, they've been done with a shovel and a human being. They're still failing. Each time they get bigger and deeper. Real fixes are needed and demanded. Validated this morning by the U of M civil engineering professor Ahmad Shalabi in today's news. There's adequate budget. I'm skeptical. Did you plan these many potholes to be addressed this year? I don't think it's in the budget for that many. Last week, IRPW approved an additional $7 million to pay snow removal contractors who had an expired contract, but bills were past due from February. Current bills from March, and still bills coming in from April because the contract was expired and empty. Funds were empty. We had contractors being sent out, but funds did not exist to pay them. I'm coming around to budget. This should have been addressed in March, and why approved by RPW without a cut? And what
Madam
said,
Speaker, I'm just struggling to
Mayor.
follow which report he's speaking to. Sounds a bit like a campaign speech.
Thank you.
no, that's not accurate.
Mr.
Sorry.
Ryback, if you could stick to the items that you...
I am. I'm coming around with regards to these items and the budgets that are involved in the items that I'm opposing.
Okay. And just to be clear, what item is that?
It's the items of regarding road renewal and regarding the TEIP, that's item 4 from the April 20th.
Okay.
Last week, Finance approved $34 million to fund snow removal and ice maintenance through the rest of the year. There's actually, they may lose a lawsuit, etc. Revenue streams not being utilized. Madam Speaker, regarding item 4 from EPC's April 20th meeting, this is with respect to our pothole dilemma. There's a motion to take $7.5 million from the Road Renewal Reserve Fund for unfunded TEIP, but it's held over for a month because the chair realized he didn't have the support, so he wanted time to convince another councillor to support it. I'm asking council to open this item today so that it can be addressed and defeated, so that this money cannot be held up, and so this money can be used to fix the pothole dilemma that we have today. If you let this hold over for another month, all you're doing is wasting time, and it's a disservice to the citizens. See my April 20th EPC presentation for example of what's wrong with some of these unfunded TEIPs. The spring cleanup and street sign recovery is likely the largest in the city's history and greater than budgeted. Citizens are concerned with the next thaw freeze period, next winter, next spring, hopefully not the worst, but it could be the second worst. There's just Band-Aids ready to pop. I'm skeptical. I do support the general purpose to include active transportation criteria in the road renewal budget. If you're going to replace a road, make it wider. Simple, and it'll be done. But I can't support the current scope, and I cannot support active transportation projects that are overbuilt, unduly restricting vehicle traffic, or the placement defies logic. Redo the street, make it wider, done. But this year, don't tear up street sections if they don't have potholes. Reallocate those funds to fix the riddled areas, sections in other areas, and you can also do active transportation criteria when you do that. Tens of millions of dollars required. We do not want to see just Band-Aids and pothole popping. Here's what happens in the corporate world when there's an unplanned, financially impacting event in a department within a division. Leaving it to the department to deal with would be crippling, even devastating. The potholes and flooding is such an event. All the departments in the division make sacrifices and alterations to cover that impact. When Cal Murphy wanted to sign Matt Dunnigan, the vets were bought in and they had to give up money to pay for Matt. This is a defining moment. This is council's legacy, good or bad. The roads are the priority for real repairs. The repairs are the most effective way to make our streets safe. A full budget review and reallocation needs to take place, along with real action starting now. No waiting for another 90-day report. You eat an elephant by just starting to chew. You adjust and you learn as you go. No one is noticing the flower pots as they're dodging potholes. This is the 14th time I've appeared before you in council and committee asking for proper priorities and dedicating funds to where it's needed. The 14th time. July, EPC and Finance, I did the exact same thing of trying to deal with pandemic recovery. Madam Speaker, some councillors may say no. Well, they may want to save their projects, or save their donations, or save their headlines. I'm coming before you to properly allocate money to save our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions for our delegation?